So welcome back to the channel, Man United fans. And as you can see, it's not a happy morning for us. It's not a happy Monday morning for us because we're just coming from a defeat in the derby. Man City are now just continuing their dominance in the Manchester derby, just like Pep Guardiola was saying. Ever since he arrived in Manchester, they've always been the better side, and we've always been the second best. And it's arguably true. Because showing up in that derby like that against a weak Manchester City, you can argue with me that Manchester City is not the real Manchester City we know. That's very weak Manchester City. You can't compare it to the treble Manchester City. The Manchester City, since Rodri's injury, they've not been the same at all. They're just coming from a consecutive two Premier League defeats, and then they come to the Manchester derby, and they still manage to find it easy past Man United. Very silly errors we've made in that game. We were not clinical enough in terms of finishing. The midfield was free. Midfield, defense, and the forward both did not turn up yesterday, or rather, because I just feel like we're just not consistent enough. Both the players and the manager. Amorim Amorim's comments after the game was that I won't change my philosophy. Only when I feel it's the right time to change, I will change it, or else you'll have to change the man. January transfer window is nowhere near. We didn't bring in a midfielder in the summer transfer window. We were Brighton did sell us Baleba. They were considering him not for sale. We didn't get Gallagher on loan. We didn't manage. We didn't bring in Wharton from Crystal Palace. You can name them all. The problem is still there. We've moved into the new season knowing what the problem is. We've never made any effort to solve the problem. We brought in a striker. It seems like we don't even know how to use a striker. Not very many crosses coming in. Amorim doesn't want to adapt. We're 2-0 down. Amorim, just put three midfielders in the team. In the system, or rather in the field, and let's try to balance it off with the Manchester City, because Manchester City outnumbered us in the midfield, and that is where the game is won. That is where they say the game is won. And then the way we were very free in that particular category. Of course, we had to be beat by Manchester City, by weak Manchester City. Not even their best players fit, but they still manage to beat us. Ryan Jackie said he can't wait to kill us. He can't wait to kill us. Somehow, although he wasn't present in the field, but they still killed us, So, very embarrassing performance in the derby again. And I was talking about Amorim, the fact that he's saying that, which means we have Chelsea next, although they have a game midweek in the UEFA Champions League against Bayern, and then they come to Old Trafford. Of course, it can be a little bit advantageous to us because we have the whole week free. But then you still find Chelsea making Man United's life hard at Old Trafford. Then we have a very big problem. Manchester United this season, going into this season, these 4 match days, it has stopped some of the most important stats in the Premier League. We're talking about most shots. We're talking about most chances created. Manchester United is always there, but then they can't just find the ball in the back of the net. We have a very big problem. We just saw Mbumo 1v1 with Donnarumma, but he missed it. We do a lot of creations, but the final part, the ball won't just go in the back of the net. The Burnley game, remember how many chances we lost. We fired 20 plus shots against Burnley, 20 plus shots against Arsenal, but then we can't just find the ball in the back of the net. So Manchester United right now, we have so many very many problems. At this point, I believe the players too are supposed to give it their all. It's just not only focused to Amorim, because I believe these players, even if you look at that Grimsby game, the system, the players were supposed to win that game with any system regardless. Bruno Fernandes in the deeper role is something that is now going to cause a lot of pressure to Amorim, because it's now been proven enough. We've seen very many instances that Bruno does not perform in the 8 role, and Amorim just, I don't know if he's not seeing that, or he's yet to see that, or he does it but he chooses to ignore it. I don't know what's really wrong with that topic, and I don't know how Amorim handles that. I'm very sure he hears allegations of that. It's evident everywhere. Everybody doesn't want Bruno in that position, but then Amorim is still, fixed his mind that Bruno Fernandes can do better if it's in that position. I mean, I don't want to argue with Amorim. Maybe he has the potential to bring out a lot from Bruno when he's in that deeper role, but I believe, we all believe, Bruno Fernandes gives us his best performance when he's in the 10 role. That is where we enjoy the capabilities of Bruno as a very, very lethal attacking midfielder. But Amorim chooses to put him deeper. He had the opportunity when Cunha and Mason Mount were out injured to put Bruno up front, but he still brings Ahmad in the left 10. Then I'm like, what's wrong with this manager? So this issue of Bruno is going and is continuing to cause a lot of pressure to Amorim. And the only way he can fix it is if he leaves Bruno out of the team. Not out of the team, I mean out of the starting 11. Or he puts Bruno in the 10 role. Because it's continuing to cause us a lot of trouble in the midfield. Ugarte, in that Manchester City game, all the burden was left to him because Bruno definitely can't mark his man. I mean, he's a creative midfielder. He's not built for what Amorim is putting him for. So I think that Bruno Fernandes issue is just starting to cause a lot of pressure. I mean, Amorim is causing himself a lot of pressure. We're 2-0 down, Amorim. Just put 3 players in the midfield, please. So we've lost, and we're back to default settings. This is the Manchester United that everybody knows and everybody enjoys when we are beat by the teams. I mean, every team wants to play us every weekend. We're just losing games every weekend. Amorim is always saying, focusing on the next game. We have a lot to fix. The next game comes, puts Kobe Mino on the bench. I mean, initially he was saying Kobe Mino will have to rival Bruno Fernandes for a place in the team. I mean, he has to fight Bruno Fernandes. Then I'm like, they don't even play the same role. But you see the manager is saying such statements. Then you know there's a very, very big problem around Manchester United. He's brought on yesterday and it performs very, very well. Kobe Mino was my man of the match. If at all I was asked to provide the man of the match of that game, in my own view. Of course, in Manchester United players, but I mean, I believe Manchester City were first in nearly everything: defending, chance creation. They don't even play counter-attack, but yesterday they tried to show us that they can do that. So it's very, very embarrassing. We have 1 week of training. We have Chelsea on Sunday. Who knows? But let me tell you one thing. If Chelsea come from Bayern Munich to beat Man United at the Premier League, at Old Trafford in the Premier League, then we have a very, very big problem. Buckle up, Man United fans. Amorim says he won't change his philosophy. We don't have a midfield. So the problem, we know where the problem is, but we can't solve the problem. Buckle up, United fans. See you in the next video. Remember to subscribe, like, and share.